the first level of cheating on your wife, okay? This has probably been happening behind closed doors, behind the scenes for a while. Well, hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Erin Moriarty. First off, before we get started, I just want to let you all know about my bias. I've been a fan of the Try Guys for many years. I supported them at BuzzFeed. I was one of their first Patreons. I moderated their Discord for a while. I still technically moderate their Discord, but I'm not very active there anymore. And that is why it's so important for me to talk about this, because this bothers me for a lot of reasons. And while Ned says in his little apology, if it could be called that this was a consensual relationship, anytime you are in a situation where it is your boss that you are in a relationship with, there is a huge power dynamic that a lot of people I don't think realize. I've been in a lot of positions in my life where my boss has explicitly been like, hey, you're gonna lose your job if you don't do this. I've been in positions where it was nudge, nudge, and wink, wink, hinted, hey, you're gonna lose your job if you don't do this. And I know it can be very difficult to be in a position where you are mixing work and play. The good thing is that a lot of people don't seem to be blaming her that much. I would really like to hear more about the situation from her specifically before I, change my opinion on that. If there was no pressure, if she just went into this because she liked them, then yeah, I think that she is not quite as bad as him, because this situation is bad for so many different reasons. Ned is ostensibly the business-minded head of the company, and yet he was the one who went into the situation where he is gonna mix work and play. And I see a lot of people asking, especially in the backs of Adam Levine and the John Mulhaney situation, like how these wife guys get in these positions where they are cheating in their wives. And I think it's easy to be flippant and say that any guy that talks about his wife too much is obviously faking it. And I think to a degree, if your entire persona is built around your wife, then yeah, there's probably some elements of your life, your relationship, that aren't cutting it. I saw clips from that episode where they had the lie detector, although we know that lie detector guy is kind of fake, where Keith was kind of asking Ned if the relationship was as perfect as it seemed on film. And Ned had kind of admitted in that moment that there were some things that they kind of faked. And we only know what we have seen of their relationship, obviously. But more than that, I think that there's things that we can definitely see from what they have shown. I don't feel that his treatment of her was necessarily respectful. I think that, especially if you haven't been in a lot of these relationships where you have dated a guy who didn't respect you, but liked the image of you, liked what you could do for his image, liked what having you on his arm did for his career. Because face it, men have a hot, younger looking woman on their arms, they get promoted more, and they know that. So there are a lot of men that are just primarily they're just looking for a partner who is going to help them out with their work. There's also an aspect of, there are some guys that think that they love women and they just love female anatomy and they want all of the companionship and validation from their guy friends. And that honestly is kind of a feeling that I have gotten from Ned in the past, because this wife guy energy was kind of directed at his friends. Like he wanted his friends to be proud of his wife guy energy more so than it ever seemed centered. And I mean, obviously I'm projecting on this myself, but it didn't really ever seem that centered on Ariel. I felt like he had a very unrealistic perspective of Ariel. No one believes their partner is that perfect unless they are blind to their partner's faults or faking it, and either of those scenarios is not good. I mean, Keith loves Becky, I would say hopefully more than Ned loved Ariel. I think the internet would be broken if Keith ever did that same sort of thing to Becky. But Keith also seems to have the ability to point out Becky's flaws, because every human being has flaws. And it just seemed like Ned seemed kind of blind to Ariel's, which again, either you don't want to see it or you don't want other people to see it. Either of those is bad. And I know a lot of people are surprised by this, and I know there's going to be a ton of people that are on videos just like this when they're all saying, oh, I knew Ned was the bad news from the beginning. But come on, his two things were Yale and my wife, and occasionally soccer and cooking and being Italian. His shtick was so simplistic and basic. It felt so manufactured. It felt like what he wanted people to think about himself more than what he was. Hey, we'll get back to this video in a second. I just want to let you know what my next 3 videos are going to be. Up next, we have a video on how to relax, then a video on how I recovered from autistic burnout, and then finally a video on Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, and toxic controlling relationships. Back to the video. As I mentioned prior, I've been a moderator on their Discord from the very beginning. When the Try Guys went off and made a company on their own, there were a lot lot of hesitations. Sure, when they were first starting out, everybody was really happy and excited and thought that it was going to be a really good thing. But as the months passed, there were issues with the merchandise and the other rewards not happening, and their Patreon had a lot of members. There were like thousands of people in this Discord. They really have never gotten in their Discord very often, and for many months, one of the big selling points was that going on the Discord was going to get you a direct connection to the guys. And Ned was the business-minded one. And at first I'm like, okay, Ned's the business guy, and he's just had a baby. He's distracted. You know, I'm just thinking, oh, okay, so all that merch stuff that wasn't happening at the beginning, it makes sense because obviously he's had his head busy doing other things. Because the video, you don't go out with your mistress to a Harry Styles concert, into the club in public when you're a public figure. That's not like the first level of cheating on your wife, okay? This has probably been happening behind closed doors, behind the scenes for a while with who knows how many other women, because I've seen other people on the internet chit-chatting. Like even before this, I had seen people talking about Ned propositioning women or flirting with women at clubs and what have you. And so I'm like, what level of this? Like Adam Levine, we're up to like 4 or 5 women now that he apparently had any type of a relationship with or a flirtationship with. Like how many women are going to come up with Ned? The other thing with Ned is that he's had scandals before, and I think it's pretty clear by the type of scandals that he has just how much of he's a frat boy. Like we have given him way too much credit because he has a gay bestie, and like he still proclaimed good things about NFTs after he should have known better about NFTs. There was a situation with Rainey where he had kind of like pressured her about why she didn't want to get pregnant, and it's just like there are very few men that I know who would pressure somebody about their decision to not have kids nowadays. Most of my guy friends understand that that's taboo. Like your worth as a woman is completely detached from whether or not you have children. It's such a taboo thing to do nowadays in this age group, and yet he's still doing it. Sure, he's always apologized, but he's also had his shoe in his own mouth an alarming number of times. And I think because the Try Guys have just in general been great creators, we've really given him a pass. And honestly, I feel like Keith and Eugene and Zach have been busting their asses off to carry his reputation for a while, because there have been a number of things. The NFT thing, he had promised an apology or a statement on it, and I don't think we ever got it. I think one thing that I don't see enough people discussing is the fact that when you have a lot of privilege in society, a lot of times you may do risky things that people that are more marginalized would never think of doing, just because you don't have fear walking down the street. You don't have to worry that you're gonna get accosted because of your gender or what you're wearing or what have you. There is a propensity to taking this like adrenaline risky behavior with your family and your reputation and your livelihood, because like that's how you get your rocks off. And I really hope this isn't that. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where Ned goes next. Ariel, it seems based on their statements, it seems that she is going to try. More power to her. I apologize that it wouldn't be my decision, because it is so clear to me that he doesn't respect her. If somebody doesn't realize what they've got until they've lost it after this long of a relationship and this much shared, he's not going to actually learn. Like his statement to me spoke of, I'm not sorry, I'm just sorry I got caught. He didn't apologize to Alex, which even if this was a completely non-pressured situation, he was her boss, okay? And he owes her better than that. I think that he may be one of the first people that we see actually get properly canceled, because so much of his persona was his wife and his family, and he just was not that funny or enticing or intriguing as a creator without that. And I think he knew that. Like that's the thing that blows my mind. Like I think the my wife persona became his thing because he realized that it was the most appealing thing that he had to offer about himself. Because the more he talks about something that isn't his wife or his kids, the more rapidly irritating he gets as a human being. What are you gonna talk about? Unless he goes the like self-help, unfuck my life direction, I still don't think that's gonna happen. Clearly, Yale did not teach him enough lessons about risk analysis. Because he deserves to lose all of his best friends about this, period. I'm hoping he's gonna lose the company, because here's the thing, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but as I recall, he was like the majority share. I wanna say that he owned like half of the business because he had like better credit and assets and things like that, and the other three had split up the other half. I may be completely wrong on this. I'm hoping that Ariel is just keeping his share of the company and he can figure out his piece on his own. I have seen a lot of people talking about why the Try Guys didn't talk about it until it became more public discussion, and I'm inclined to give them a little bit of a pass on this. They are usually really, really good at communicating when there's a problem, and it seems like they've probably known about this for give or take 2 to 3-ish weeks. They have probably had to figure out, first off, they had to investigate him and see what the situation was first, and like, because obviously I don't think that you should just fire somebody based on random pictures. That doesn't do anybody a favor. But once they've decided, okay, yeah, this is legit, this really happened, they have to decide who owns the company now and what happens with that, both financially and account ownership and finances and all sorts of things. And on top of that, you then have all of these people who are deeply emotionally like fucked by this whole situation, and Ariel, who I honestly, there are some people that are mad at him for waiting this long to say something officially, but honestly, Ariel deserved a couple weeks to get her head on straight before she's under all of this pressure, because I know people have already started spamming messages at it. That like as soon as the rumors started, that happened. So I'm glad that she got a couple of weeks to sort shit out on her own, and I really hope that she manages to find happiness, whether it involves Ned or not. I don't know how you take a man back that has previously acted like they were all about you. Like, how do you trust? Like, how do you believe that it's not just the wife guy act again? Because he's been doing the wife guy act the whole time. When they've been talking about Alex's wedding in the lead up, he's been doing the wife guy act. Meanwhile, he's been at least kissing her, if not more. And his letter was shit. If you watched thus far, you must like something, so please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My next video, one of my next videos is actually going to be about Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, and their own brushes with controlling manipulative relationships. If those topics sound interesting to you, please subscribe. I will be releasing those soon.